Good morning, geometry. We are today in this video going to go over surface area and volume of prisms, okay? Specifically rectangular prisms when all the sides are rectangles, and then triangular prisms when two of the sides are triangles and then the other three would be rectangles, okay? So just some important information before we start. Lateral surface area. I know that you guys have gone over this before, but lateral surface area is just going to be the outside faces of your prism. So it does not include the base or the opposite face. So basically like the bottom and the top, okay? Lateral surface area is just around the outside. And we are going to show that as LA. So anytime you see LA, that means you're solving for the lateral surface area. Okay. Total surface area would be the area of every single face, including top and bottom. Okay. And we use SA to show total surface area. Okay. And then volume is everything that can fit inside of your prism, and we use just the letter V to show that. Okay. Now within these three measurements or values, you might see these things show up in your formulas, okay? So a capital P is going to show up in the surface area formulas. Capital P is the perimeter of the base, okay? So before you can plug into either of those formulas, we will need to find the perimeter of the base in order to do so, okay? And then lastly, capital B, different than lowercase b, okay? Capital B stands for the area of the base. So you're going to have to figure out what's the area before you can plug into, it's in total surface area and it's in volume, before you can plug into those formulas. Okay, so use the formula chart. There's one linked on Google Classroom. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to label the dimensions on this figure right here. Okay, so the bottom right here that we have shaded gray, we're going to use that as our base, okay? So when we go ahead and we solve for some of these things, that's the face that we're going to use as our base, okay? And then 2 over here would be the height, okay? So first things first, for surface area, the perimeter of our base, that capital P. Okay, so again, my base is that rectangle on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and just sketch it out off to the side. So the base of this shape is that rectangle, and it's 10 by 5. All right, I'm going to worry about the 2 later. Not going to worry about that right now. Okay, but if I need the perimeter of the base, then all I have to do is add up the 4 sides of this rectangle. So 10 plus 5 plus 10 plus 5. And that's going to end up giving me 30. Okay. All right. Then the area of this base, how much would fit inside that rectangle, okay, is just base times height of my base. So 10 times 5 gives me 50. Okay. And then H. The H that we're going to use in this case is going to be the height of the prism, okay? Whoa, P-R-I-S-M, there. So not the height of my base, the height of the actual prism, which is 2, okay? Now, lateral area, if you look at your formula chart, tells you that the formula for LA is P H. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug in my 2 things that I have right here. So the perimeter of my base is 30 times the height of my prism is 2, and that's going to end up giving me 60. And then my units are centimeters. This is still area, so I would have 60 centimeters squared. All right, and then surface area, that formula is PH plus 2 times capital B. So let's go ahead and plug everything in there. P again is still 30, H is still 2, plus 2 times capital B is 50. All of that together, this would be 60 plus 100, so 160 centimeters squared. Okay, so Again, lateral area would just be around the outside, so not including the bottom or the top. So the area of those 4 outside faces is 60, and then the area of all of the faces put together is 160. Okay? Now for volume, the capital B and the H are not going to change. The capital B is still going to be 50, and my height is still going to be 2. Okay, so the formula for volume of any prism is capital B times H, which when I plug my numbers in, 50 times 2, we get that the volume of this rectangular prism is 100 centimeters, and then volume is centimeters cubed to the power of 3. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at our 2 examples here. Number 1, we still have a rectangular prism, okay? So we're gonna need to find 3 things in order to solve for LA, SA, and V. Okay, we're gonna need the perimeter of the base, we're gonna need the area of the base, and we're gonna need the height. Okay, and again, we're gonna use this shaded part as the base, okay? So the perimeter of this, if I add up 4 plus 4 plus, this would still be 4, this would still be 4, perimeter of my base is going to be 16. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, okay? Area of my base, it's a rectangle, so it's just gonna be base times height. 4 times 4, again, is gonna give me 16. And then the height of my prism, how tall is this, is going to be 6. All right, so again, LA, the formula for lateral area is P times H. So let's plug in our numbers here. We're gonna have 16 times 6, which is going to give me 96 centimeters squared. All right, surface area, the full thing is PH plus 2B. Let's plug everything in. Again, PH is still 16 times 6 plus 2 times 16 is gonna end up giving me 128 centimeters squared. All right, and lastly, volume is capital B times H. So let's plug in 16 times 6 again. Capital B is 16, height is still 6. Would also give me 96, except for this time it would be centimeters cubed since we're talking about everything that can fit inside. Okay, and lastly for prisms, we're gonna talk about a triangular prism, okay? Now, anytime you have a triangle in your prism, automatically this is going to be a triangular prism, okay? And what this means, this is very important, is that the triangle is the base, okay? Even though this looks like the bottom of it, or it's sitting on that rectangle right there. If it is a triangular prism, the triangle is the base. So I'm gonna shade that in with my yellow right here. This is the base of my prism, okay? So we still need to find the same 3 things, P, B, and H, okay? So first things first, the perimeter of my base, the perimeter of this triangle. The only things that I know are that this side is 5 and this side is 12. And I also know that this is a right angle, okay? I know it's not shown in this front one, but it is shown in the back one, so we assume that it's the same, okay? Now, it's a right triangle, so we can always use a squared plus b squared equals c squared to get to that third side of my triangle. Now, this one is a triple, so I'm not going to take the time to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared because this is a triple, 5, 12, 13. Okay, so that means that the hypotenuse of this triangle is 13, and I don't have to actually plug into Pythagorean theorem to know that. If you did plug into Pythagorean theorem, you'd get 13, okay? So adding those three sides together, my perimeter is gonna be 30, okay? All right, and then area of my base. Area of a triangle we get by doing 1/2 times the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. All right, and that's gonna end up giving me 30. 1/2 times 12 times 5 gives me 30, okay? And one last thing, the height of this prism, okay? Height of a triangular prism basically has to be how far is it between the two triangles, okay? So it's not this 5 right here. It's gonna be how far, or the distance between the two triangles. So I'm gonna write that down here to make myself a note. How far between the triangles, okay? And that distance they gave us right here is 10, all right? So 30 for the capital P, 30 for the capital B, 10 for the height. All right, let's go ahead and let's plug into our three formulas. So lateral area, same thing over here, is P times H, so 30 times 10. All right, and that's gonna end up giving me 300. We're still working in centimeters, so 300 centimeters squared. Right, surface area, same as over here, pH plus 2b, so 30 times 10 plus 2 times 30. So let's see, that would be 300 plus 60, 360 centimeters squared. And then for volume, it is capital B, which is 30, times height, which is 10. That will also give me 300 centimeters cubed since it is volume. And that is the surface area and volume of prisms.